all ages, we welcome you to the PBA LBC National Championships right here at Bolero, Wauwatosa. I'm your DJ Neon White. Right here we have Jesse, who will be your tournament director. I'm going to go over a few important announcements. Basically, if you find somebody behind your lanes wearing one of these PBA LBC shirts, find them and they will help you out. We have rules right up here at the front desk. If you have any questions with those, come up here and check them out. We are going to step up to the foul line here shortly, so get your shoes on and get prepared. Once your lanes are turned on, you will receive 5 minutes of practice on your starting pair. You will not receive any practice when you move pairs. After you finish your 6 games, please bring in your completed score sheet to the tournament office. We are just about ready to get started. So at this time, I'd like to ask all the competitors to report to their starting pair and walk out to the foul line for the national anthem. And make sure you stay so you can enjoy the Norm Duke introduction video right after the national anthem. And here we go.
Welcome to Bolero, home of the PBA LBC National Championships.
You love to bowl. You love to compete. I know. Today, you'll do it just like the pro.
In the PBA style, today's singles event will feature 6 games across 12 lanes with 4 bowlers per pair.
If you're prepared, you can see it. You can feel it.
Celebrate, Norm. Celebrate. The Duke is our champion.
Your first 3 games count for your double score. Your second 3 games count for your team score.
And nobody does competition like the PBA.
Winners from 6 divisions will be crowned singles, doubles, and team champions.
Them hard. There's magic in that ball.
In pursuit of the Duke.
And we are underway here at the PBA LBC National Championships. The 7 p.m. local squad. This is the first 7 p.m. squad we've brought you during the run of the event. Lots of 2 p.m. squads, and there's a reason why we're bringing you the 7 p.m. squad. First and foremost, this man is not just a PBA Hall of Famer. He also had a 300 game to kick off his PBA LBC National Qualifying Squad 2 o'clock today here at Bolero Wauwatosa. Chris Barnes. Chris, it was a solid day for you today on the lanes. I'm sure you'd like some transitional shots back between games 1 and a few.
Yeah, I mean, there was it got off to a great start, and after my World Series in this place, I was glad to see something good happen. Period. So I was pleased, but I still had a firm grasp on my optimism, and more of what I'd seen before here was that transition pair to pairs can be pretty tricky, and I caught a couple pairs that weren't great, and I didn't bowl great on a pair and a half there too. So obviously there's some big score out there, and Lenny, he put it on him, and the junior, 17-year-old
Trey Heinrichmeyer.
Trey Heinrichmeyer. Didn't quite have that name down, so thanks for saving me there. But what a fantastic squad he bowled, taking over the lead.
300 the last game to get to 1530.
Bang.
Yeah.
And with 3 spots in that open division, 1530. That's a tough score to beat 3 times.
That's looking really good for that 25,000 on top. And I know I was positioning Tom Clark to make sure there were 2 of the Senior Classic spots going up.
Yeah, I don't know that I guess
Portland, but
it may not be completely set in stone, so I'm not sure. But, I guess I'm in second, and I certainly wouldn't be disappointed if it happened that way, where I got to sneak in there. Lenny certainly earned his way, and I think there's a fair chance I'll get beat. We had 3 guys on our pair. That I was 5 pins ahead of Couch, and I was 10 pins ahead of Walter, and threw the back 8 to do that. It was speaking of my doubles partner, off and running.
He almost had a 5-10 on the first ball. He had the paralyzed 5 with the 10.
A guy who never misses spares, showing his rust right off the bat. So you can tell he's been working hard. The bowling game's not sharp just yet.
That's what I asked him when he was in the booth with me game 6 of your squad. I go, how did you pull off what you did at TOC? I mean, made a run, made match play. It was a good run for Josh.
I think he'd been bowling a little bit more than he has been now, but Josh's game is tough. And we're talking about Josh Blanchard here on lane 31, but the footwork, the arm swing is pretty timeless, and time off won't change the fact that both of those are pretty solid. And now, whether his touch is there or not, if he has to use touch when you're not sharp, that's where it gets tricky. But if he's able to do something relatively normal, he's certainly more than capable of putting a big score together.
He said he's been running a lot of the PBA junior events, that he's running into kids that don't know who he is. So then somebody tells him to go search on YouTube. I'm like, why would you do that? The first thing that's going to come up, you know it's going to be.
He's talking about PBA junior or just the regular PBA?
It's beautiful.
Sorry, Josh. That was a cheap shot. Because, I come from a place of knowing. The most often question I'm asked now is, are you still bowling on tour? Yes. Ouch. Yes, I am.
Well, here's a question I have to ask you, because you got to be a pretty proud dad. Are you going to be a spectator in Peru?
The whole family is, as a matter of fact. It's super proud of Ryan for getting named to that U21 team. That is a stacked junior roster. They there was at least 4 more kids, and that's without me really knowing who all, some of the guys that were there. But obviously Jordan Malott was among the group that didn't get picked, as well as both Bone Boys, and we know how talented they are, as well as Landon Jordan from up right here in Chicago area, among others. So awfully proud of him. He's put in, he's really dedicated himself to the game and the sport, and it's paying off. Yeah, PJ Haggerty.
Yeah, we'll get PJ on here. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I got a mess of networking up here.
Yeah,
Chris,
I'm catching up here too. There is a lot of monitors, and we're kind of head on a swivel right now, trying to keep up. But it seems like he wins a tournament out on the West Coast, seemingly probably not every week, every other week, and so I would say in that short list, and David Sullivan is his USBC teammate. I think these guys won an Eagle not so long ago, and have been pretty good for a while. Certainly one of the best non-professional guys you could have on a squad. Hello, Renee Walker, one of our Bolero officials here.
You must cross paths with Renee pretty often.
Yeah,
in Texas.
she's down in our area as a district manager and up here every weekend to help out and help run things. So. Yeah, this David O'Sullivan and PJ Haggerty, these guys, I would expect them to put a little bit up, although catching 49 and 50 from my experience is not a fantastic opening draw.
I warned them. I said, I used to tell the manager here when I bowled league in this place for 20-plus years, one night I just said, if you come in tomorrow morning and it looks like somebody poured gasoline on 49 and 50 and threw a match on it, it wasn't me.
Yeah. Not that I didn't think about it, but it wasn't me. Yeah, 49 hooks an arrow more than everything else at the World Series. And while this is relatively friendly at 5-1, there are pairs it feels like it is way flatter than that. Yeah. And some of the fronts on some of these pairs really hook up early for me and really separate the two. And there's really two slots to play. The slot you're watching right there with David O'Sullivan, between 10 and 15, and if you can stay a little more direct, that's what Verity did this morning for a monstrous 15-20 score.
Yeah.
And then, because once you go to the next little zone, it's really not just a parallel move. It's kind of a zone jump, and it feels like you really have to add 3 or 4 to where you're standing instead of just moving 5 and 3. It turns into like 8 and 3 or 9 and 4 kind of thing, where you really have to cross a lot more boards in the front of the lane to keep it on line and kind of feed it into the right tube there.
All right. I know there's going to be a lot of questions to the chat tonight. We'll get back to them as quick as we can. Adam's asking, how's Chris Barnes doing today? What do you do to wind down after a nice squad like you did there, other than coming in the booth and talking to me? I mean, it's
been a heck of a 24 hours. We bowled a one-day regional in Arlington Heights yesterday. We started at 1 o'clock. We bowled 21 games between then and 9:45. It was an eliminator format. We bowled 7, then cut cashers 4, then cut to 12. 2 more cut to 8, 2 more cut to 4, 2 more cut to 2, and then bowled the final 2. And I finished second to Jan Janowitz, who upped his winning percentage from 667 to 750. He's entered 4 PBA 50 tournaments and won 3 of them now.
Wow, the pocket 910.
That's not getting out of this pair with some score at all is a bonus. Unfortunately, it's the only pair you get practice on, and most of these pairs I feel like I could stand to get 2 shots on each. It would increase my score significantly. But so we did that. Finished second to JJ Jenny. He won by 150 or so. He kind of lapped the rest of us. Was staying in with some friends, George Lambert, west of Chicago. So drove the hour and 45 up here this morning and did some PBA Junior videos, some informational stuff that they're going to put up on the website later, and then bowled. And
I'm trying to remember if I remember. George was Wichita State. You graduated 0809, somewhere in that range?
That'd be about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he lived with us for a while, maybe 06, 07, somewhere there. He bowled on tour. He's made the Masters show a couple of times.
Yeah.
Team Canada 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Lives up here with his wife Samantha and their boy Georgie.
I remember he had spiky red hair.
It's not so spiky anymore. It's there's none of it anymore.
Okay.
So Sullivan's not having much fun here.
No, not at the moment. Neither is PJ Haggerty.
No.
Yeah, I remember. It was 08. I coached the Whitewater guys. It was the first time they made nationals, and we had to bowl at North Rock for ITCs.
Ah.
And, gee, I wonder who he lost to twice in the bracket to finish 5th.
Yeah, and George is a great team guy, and so
he owned us
he's
that
a great
day.
he's a great bowler on top of it. But in the team thing, he's the guy who makes the guys around him better.
Yeah,
and they had a really good chemistry group back then. Those guys still talk to each other and still get along, which is it says something about the strength of the group back then.
I mean, the whole lifespan of that program is just amazing.
And they've really fine-tuned it. It's a place where people go to get better, and whether you end up being a star on that team or part of it or just the varsity, I think across the board, if you want to play on tour, that's an awfully good place to start.
Yeah. I know one of the young men that bowled this afternoon. You probably saw him, Braden Malash. He had black and white pants and a black and white shirt. I think he's on the select team at Wichita State going in next year as a freshman.
Yeah, did he just win the Pisano Award?
Yes, he
right?
did. Yes, he did. So
I know Ryan had told me that there was a stud coming in, and they were looking forward to it. So
he's a good kid, and
good.
I was one of the judges for the Pisano thing, and his application package was spectacular, and it was I wouldn't say a no-doubter, but he made it pretty easy to put a majority of the points in his pocket.
Well, and he'll join three of the four that are going to the Pan Am team for the U21 squad is at Wichita already. So Spencer Robarge, Brandon Bonner was also named to that, along with Julian Salinas, a Texan that goes to SCAD. Golly, these guys are having a miserable time with Spare right now. It's crazy when you watch and go, wow, the scores are really high. It's 1,500. There's 1,480, and then yeah, but it's not on every bear.
One of the guys I coached in 08 at Whitewater, John Shallow, he's a pretty solid regional player.
Or as Stu calls it, whitefish.
Whitefish. Yeah, he was he made the big run. I mean, the team was. He asked me to help coach the team that season in January, and they were 50th ranked in the nation. And we got through sectionals, and we got to ITCs, and we ended up in 5th place. And that's not a bad move. And
there has been a lot of good bowlers come through that program over time, and obviously the Milwaukee, Chicago area has been home to so many good bowlers for decades and decades. So not a surprise. It's really just more about pulling that talent together, and sometimes it takes a catalyst.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were that guy for them.
John was too. John did a lot of work before they had a coach, because they're a club team, and they still are a club team there.
Every men's team is a club team. Yeah. So, some are just better, more well-funded. I guess mostly still self-funded, but better funded than others, and more organized. And
you get the few NAIA teams that get a few bucks from the school and some actual scholarship money for bowling, but those are few and far between. And, let's take a peek in on Blanchard here because,
he kind of righted the ship. I mean, a double 9-spare strike, but now this is the pair I finished on, actually. And it's actually not one of it's actually a pretty decent pair down on this end. Yeah. But getting comfortable off the plane.
Always tough, and he's just like, talking to him today, just running. If he's not running a regional, his wife Amy was, they were each in a separate place running a regional last weekend, plus he's got the pro shops back home, plus the family, taking care of the kids with summer vacation and everything. So
check out 37 and 8 if you got a camera there.
We got one there. We'll get one there.
Got there, I think.
That is not 37 and 8. I got to get next door. Hold on 1 second here. We'll fix that momentarily. Through a series of levers and pulleys. There we go.
There's Giorgio Canaz. He's former 900 Global employee and spent some time at Weber. He's turned into quite a bowler himself. Very talented, one of the nicest guys you meet, and he's off to a great start with 9 spare, 5-bagger.
And Daria Payuk, of course, bowling on that pair as well. No surprise.
A little rough. Actually, this is the pair I started on. So Giorgio also finding it. I was a little surprised. It was a pair that they had not had much success on in the previous attempts here, but left lane hooks a little bit, and but through practice sorted through some balls and got to the right one. So it wasn't the right one for the next pair.
Yeah. Yeah, but having 300,
Yeah, I had a little room for error.
Do PBA members get the $100 for 300? Is this a PBA event? Did they give you a check?
I'm still talking to my agent about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm more working on my NIL deal now that that's a thing. I've been the logo for 20 years here. I like to.
True.
You know, I may be a little late on getting cashed in on this one, but there you go, Daria. So
she's never been one afraid to show up against the guys. I mean, I remember World Series of Bowling in 2017 in Reno. She was there taking everybody on and giving her best shot. That was the first time I actually met her in person. And,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, she came in the booth. We had a nice chat for a while on air, so she's just a spectacularly smart person.
There's Giorgio on 37. Very similar to what I did there, just kind of that left lane, 13-14 to track, the right lane a couple right of that. And
I mean, it's kind of funny that the knowledge retains every time you come back into a center.
Well,
Solid.
I don't know if it retains. I just write down a lot of stuff so I can look at it.
Somebody goes, Chris has got, I think it was O'Sullivan said, you had it all on your phone. I go, they can't make enough memory for a phone to hold all that information. There's no.
Well, it's a little different thing, but I mean,
okay.
That's what it looks like here.
Oh, okay.
So
there you go.
What oils we bowled on, which blocks are which balls were in the arsenal, and then pairs, which game, which block and which game, where I stood, where I looked, what ball I was using, and what kind of combination of,
Okay.
Like that's standing 38, looking 22 with an exotic gem. I was throwing it slow, and I wrote it tilt because that's what we used to call axis rotation.
Yeah.
So the terms went forward, even though we've actually made it much more correct in the last decade.
Okay.
But
let's get a reset here on our Lane Talk. Lane Talk, such a wonderful thing as well. If you're not following your favorite player on YouTube here, you click in the description down below, and you'll see all the feeds that are available to you. Every pair in play, all tournament long has been available to you, will continue to be available to you through the event, and then it'll open up a new tab for you. And keep us on in here, obviously, with Chris Barnes in the booth. He's got a fountain of knowledge he'll be able to share with you as we go throughout the evening tonight. Somebody asked, did you throw the reality today?
No.
Would have been too much ball?
Yeah, it was just way too. I started with an X2. That's about 7 balls below a reality. So cover-wise, core-wise is actually somewhat similar, but cover-wise, way cleaner, way shinier, way smoother. Not smoother, more responsive. So pushing it through the front. This is an old surface in a fairly high lineage center, and there's plenty of early friction for me here. So I need whatever I can get to get it down the lane first. I use that. I use the Exponent. Messed around the Zen Gold, but even the Zen Gold was a little bit early because it's pinned down. I ended up throwing an IQ Emerald at the end. Okay. So Giorgio going for a 7-bagger. A little left.
And wow.
Just a little inside.
It almost looked like his wrist got under it a little bit extra from a couple
just
previous
a little
shots.
inside of target.
Okay.
He's able to make it do a cool little trick down lane, and yeah, that's just not the lane. He's already more square on that lane anyway because it's tighter down lane, and you just have to feed it to the right. It's yikes. Something over there on the left. I don't know. It wasn't a 5-7-10. I guess it was something else, but it was.
I instantly looked for Josh Blanchard when I heard that. So 5-7-10, got to be Josh.
What?
No, I said when you said there might have been a 5-7-10, I looked up to see if it may have been Josh.
Oh, it's not nice. It's not nice.
Oh, hey, I'm not worried about him. I worry about Amy.
Fair.
getting revenge. I wouldn't worry about Josh.
Yeah.
Amy, just, yeah.
Get the same thing, you know. when the nice one of the couple gets mad at you, then you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, want to give a shout-out to my buddy Alex Westring. He was up here opening weekend, his dad Matt bowled, and on his way home, Alex fell ill, and unfortunately, they got him to the hospital, and he checked everything out. Type 1 diabetes, which is something you're very familiar with your son Troy, and 10 years old, and they found it, and
Wow.
first time he had a problem with it, but now he's already back to bowling, so they got a couple of weeks out, and glad to see that Alex was back to bowling the other night, and good thing to do. And you've given so much support to JDRF, and I know he's gotten a lot of support already from players. Jesper Svensson sent him a personal message on his phone and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool to support.
Yeah, it's scary at the beginning, especially if you have no history at all or background of what's going on. For Troy, our story started when he was 6, actually, and you don't really know what's wrong at the very beginning, but once you look back, the signs are pretty obvious. Yeah. And thankfully, they caught it good, soon enough before the numbers got too high for too long. And the good news is there's been a lot of research and a lot of good things have been done to make quality of life, relatively normal. But unfortunately, right now it makes kids grow up a lot faster than they probably should have to. Right. More responsibility. So, but it's not limiting. You can still do, basically anything that you would have done otherwise. It's just a few habit changes and a few other things will help you along the way. But it's.
Yeah, Alex is already back on. I think it's been 3 weeks. He's already back on the lane, so it was great to see.
Wish we were more into cures than treatments, but that goes for a lot of things.
Right.
But thoughts go out to their family, and it's a lot to deal with, especially at first. And all I can tell you is it gets easier.
Giorgio.
Giorgio. And at the end that it'll work out all right. And it's not really a limiting thing in any way. So.
And Alex, of course, already being an accomplished author with his mom and dad with the Bowling Buddies books you can buy on Amazon. Always got to give Alex a shout out for those. So, a lot of young bowlers have received those as gifts in various Storm Youth Challenge gift bags and other events. I know last year we were here for the Junior Hall of Fame tournament that you were a part of. Here at Bolero in November.
Yeah, Lipinski's do a fantastic job with that, and that's a long-running event. Happy that I was able to come up and be a part of it. I'd say help out, but she's got that thing so dialed in, we don't really help. We're just part of the package.
I mean, the crew she puts together of volunteers for that thing is just amazing. And we used to when I had TV up here, we used to televise the finals, and then the Spectrum. Got rid of the sports channel, made a news channel. So we've been live streaming it the last 3 years, and it's a great event to live stream. It's a lot of fun, and it's fun not just watching you bowl with the kids, but all the local Hall of Famers and other accomplished players. I mean, Bobby Jekyll comes in from Michigan, our PBA Central Region Manager, bowl the event, and there's so many regional guys that come up. Jeremy Mars. It's fun watching because the adults are more nervous than the kids are. That's the beautiful part.
Yeah, you don't want to disappoint kids. It's their one swing at it there. So
yeah.
Well, we got any scores up there to shout out?
Let me,
down on this end, we're down on this low end, closer to. We're actually behind 25 and 6. So.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's go over to 35 and 6. We might have a 260 game. Looks like. George Sabluski. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not George. Andre Eubanks is going to be stepping up, looking to polish up. That'll be in the 250s.
There's Andy Reddick here, too. So.
Oh, yeah, Andy. Haven't seen him in a bit. It's not urethane, is it?
Well, he is left-handed.
Yeah, he did take down the PBA 50 Central Region RPI last year in Ohio. Using urethane.
Any questions coming at us here in the chat?
Let's
or no?
Let's take a peek. There's been a few. Somebody says both you and Chris Prather have a lot of power, but two completely different ball rolls. Agree or disagree?
I mean, I think we both have a pretty big bag of tricks. The one thing that really set Chris apart there about 5 years ago was he figured out a way to create a lot of axis rotation and actually, pick up pins at the end of blocks versus trying to hang on at the end of blocks. And in the process, he gave up a little bit on the fresh. He tried to turn that around this year, and that didn't really work out that well. He overshelled too much. But Chris has got a fantastic game. I'll take the comparison however it comes. But, yeah, I'd say we have different ball rolls and different skill sets, but we have a lot of crossovers too. He's a younger, healthier version.
So, hey, we're going to give you a little audio intermission. Get those questions in the YouTube chat and the Facebook chat. We'll keep taking a look and answering those in game 2. I'm going to refresh my beverage. You guys do it too. He's Chris Barnes. I'm $2 Phil, and we're here at Bolero Wauwatosa. And game 2 underway. Player movement happening. We'll take another look at Josh Blanchard and Jonathan Shallow here and their grouping for a second. We got some people coming off the high end of the house here at Bolero, and as we get some little excitement, somebody gets a good game going, we'll switch in. I'm $2 Phil Brilo, the man with me in the booth, PBA Hall of Famer Chris Barnes. Nico keeping me on my toes. Yeah, I know it wasn't game 6. I'll have to holler at the graphics department. They took a nap after the 2 o'clock squad was done, apparently. So we got somebody asking your favorite ball out of the Storm line you've ever thrown. Now, I see 900 Global on your jersey, but everybody knows that it's part of the Storm Roto Grip 900 Global factory.
Yeah, to all of them. I mean, the respect. I shot 300 on TV in Japan for $40,000. That had to make the list. That was like a week after I was on staff, so that one certainly made the early list. It's hard to ever bet against balls like a Phase 2. Things like that.
It's Tokyo Port Bowl, right, for that 300?
Tokyo Port Bowl.
I got to go
Had
there
some
once.
luck there. I like that place. Everybody's ball hooked as early as mine did.
It almost seemed like the first, out to the arrows was about 3 inches lower than past the arrows, and you got near the arrows and you just kind of gently ramped up to the rest of the lane.
Yeah, it was early, and then down lane, even Belmo couldn't really make his ball corner there, and so it was just a different shape. It's kind of an old school type shape, and I had some luck in that building, that's for sure.
When's the last time you bowled a competitive event in Japan? Was it pre-pandemic?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There hasn't been anything in Asia since that. So we had the Weber Cup in the middle of it. The second year of it, not really the middle of the first. But it's been pretty sparse. Not a whole lot of things going on overseas.
Yeah.
I really think we're pretty close to getting ramped back up again, and perhaps next year you'll start seeing a lot more events again.
Yeah, there's only one event that's going to offer a PBA title in Europe this year, and that's the Lucky Larson. Is that going to be on the schedule, or?
No, it's in the middle of a bunch of other tournaments here around the PBA 50 schedule.
Okay.
And then I get to bowl with Ryan in a doubles tournament in Longview, and so taking advantage of those while I'm still a viable partner for him, which may not be much longer, but I'm gonna take advantage of it while I can.
Okay. Taking a peek here, Blanchard with the spare. Yeah, definitely a little more variety on this squad than we had with the old fogey squad you guys were on last time around. Several women on the squad. Most of them in the handicap. The only two I've seen are Giselle Pass and Daria in the women's scratch.
And Katie Beasley, formerly Boroff, formerly Jensen, I guess, she's bowling down here on 31-2 now. So, along with Ryan Boroff, her brother. So,
let's take a peek. That's 31-2.
Yeah, we're in between.
Yep.
The other two are up right now, of course, because that's how it works. But
taking a peek at what we got in the chat here. A couple people say they're going to come see you at the PBA 50 stop in Virginia. That is like the one. It's not a major. Well, it is actually this year. It is this year, right? It is a major.
It's a PBA 50 Players Championship this year. So, and the finals will be at Bill Moore's house.
I got to meet Bill last year at the Central Region RPI, and boy, you talk about a guy that just loves the sport for the sport and wants to do whatever he can for it.
He goes well above and beyond for us. He names it. He does it in honor of his father, who is a big bowler as well. But he's got a great little 2-lane place in his basement. They do the finals there every year. It's pretty cool deal. I'll be actually flying straight from Lima into Sterling.
Okay.
The morning of practice, so that will be interesting.
It's only, what, a couple of time zone changes? Not like a
It's
full
actually only
east-west.
one. It's
only one,
basically
okay.
on the same time zone as this,
Okay.
I believe. So it's just that there won't be jet lag from that standpoint. There'll just be just rust and stiffness.
10 hours in a tin can.
Yeah. It's a long flight from down there to get up. So but it's a kind of a, you hope it's not once in a lifetime. Well, there's Katie. And so
Nice toss.
bowl for West Texas. I'd say not quite long enough to be back in the day, but it wasn't yesterday either. So
Yeah. Just see, you look back at that program in the 80s and 90s, and you just go, wow.
Yeah.
Everybody that came out of that program. And once
like-
again, at the time, club program for the men and the women.
yeah. Mark Scroggins coaching that group now, so another big name. Probably had the most talented group. I mean, it's hard to say. Some Wichita teams have been pretty good, but Mark Scroggins, Jack Jurek, and Mark McDowell all in the same squad is that's a pretty strong squad.
Adam Abulzi says, if Ryan backs out on you for a PBA 50 PBA doubles event, he'll bowl with you. So you got to.
Thanks, Adam.
So he says he's in. Somebody asking, what's the minimum average someone would have to have success in the PBA? That's kind of a tricky question because
it's tricky, but I mean, bowling regionals is the easiest way to kind of see where you're really at. Go there, you'll get to bowl on some of the patterns. I would say 230, but I've been at places where we're averaging 230 on a house shot isn't remotely close. And some other places, we had 6 touring guys in one of these leagues, and nobody averaged 230. So,
okay.
Not every place is built equally. So, but I would encourage anybody to go to bowl regionals, guest or not. But for the most part, regionals are a great deal. They're added money. They're solid prize funds. They're not super top-heavy stacked like a lot of amateur tournaments are. A way to get great experience and still and make some money at the same time with a pretty good last check. And then you can get a really good idea of where you're at. But in general, 225 to 230 is kind of where you need to be on most house shots.
Yeah, I tried that back in the day and found out how much I wasn't ready for anything like that. Coming off as you said, a season where I averaged 231 in the league, and I had more free time and more practice time. I'm like, let me go try a regional. And I wasn't the red leader, but it looked like there was a bloodbath on my score sheet by the time it was done.
It's still environmental. I mean, you can be great at checkers, but if
yeah.
you're playing chess on what seems like the same board, but
Yeah.
the rules are different,
Yep.
you have to have some experience of seeing how the pieces move. And the regionals is a start in that direction on how lanes break down, what it looks like to bowl on patterns that are relatively flat in comparison to a house shot, which balls look good off each other versus when I was good on tour, and it was, I wasn't very good on the house shots. I got drilled when I came home in bowl league. Is the league guys, the speed to rev rate ratio goes way up, and because there's so much free friction on the lane that you end up being pretty speed dominant in league, seem to be the more successful guys. And amateur bowling largely when I came on tour was about managing hook, and tour bowling was about creating hook.
Okay.
And that holds relatively true because of the flatness, the flatter ratios. You have to create break points and create shape versus managing the amount of shape that's given to you by the lane machine on a house shot.
So back in the days of megabucks, when you were in that, I don't want to say lull, because obviously it wasn't bowling all the megabucks action and that kind of thing. How much of that transferred to the PBA when you became a member with what you learned on the different patterns in those megabucks events? Because those never seemed like they were cakewalk patterns in any way, shape, or form.
The high rollers were certainly really hard, and the team challenges were even harder than some of that stuff. You did learn a lot about scoring pace and to make moves and adjustments based off scoring pace. We bowled a lot of doubles that were 3-game double elimination where they ran them in the morning and didn't run them all day. And that's when the scoring pace thing really got into play because you just needed to win. Shooting 1,400 didn't get you more than shooting 1,160 and winning. And so identifying the squads and the pairs where the scores were going to be high and having to do things versus, hey, wow, these are really hard. Keep it in play. Anything around even is going to be a good score this time. That skill transferred. In general, things hooked more on the amateur side versus tour had got quite a bit slicker. Not as much these days. They're fairly, at least at the moment, very similar in amount of hook on the lane. The volumes, where the volume changes. Actually, the tour ends up being drier because we have the same amount of volume, but it's spread out on the last 10 boards on both sides, where in the house shot there's none.
Okay.
Or very little. That 26 mils, but it's all between 10 and 10, means that there's a pretty high concentration of volume compared to the tour patterns, which is, maybe 28 mils, but you have way more oil right of 10. JC Superstar.
And Don Hogue. I'm a Hogue fan. I've always been a Don Hogue fan.
Yeah, Couch says nice scoring for me. That's right. It's cool that the Salvation Army's still giving away those Commanders T-shirts.
Wow. So. Beautiful. Well done. Good to see Couch and pretty much pain-free the way it sounds.
His knee's getting a little closer to being healthy and giving him a chance. It's going to take a little bit to break some habits because he's gotten awfully stiff on it to protect it. And, once he gets comfortable enough to really get that knee bend back and to where he can flatten the spot out at the bottom like he used to. Certainly very few strike balls more dangerous than his. And with a pretty giant toolbox to go with it.
Yeah. There's our super senior winner from this year, John Marsala, walking by. Does he ever bring you guys any barbecue? I hear he's such a great barbecue guy, and I never see him bring any barbecue, no meat anywhere.
There is no proof whatsoever. It is merely storytelling at this point.
Let's see. Burton on 31-32 just won a regional in Utah a few weeks ago. Okay. Had a 5-shot roll-off.
Whoa.
After tying the last match at 2:57 apiece. Wow. That's one I want some video on. So, what's the longest roll-off you've had after a match with those single ball roll-offs? Have you gotten the 5?
Man, I don't know if we did or not. I had one somewhere. Was it with Richie Allen, maybe? In Indy, perhaps, like the playoffs back then. That
like
version
the Dick
of it.
Weber, the Dick Weber.
Yeah,
playoffs.
I think we had a pretty long one somewhere. We've had a bunch of long ones at the Weber Cup. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily in that one, I guess, but I know Couch. I think it was Couch and Mika went into a 7 or 8 ball roll off over there with the crowd going crazy, and we lost when Couch stone 9'd.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Ugh.
And they went absolutely berserk, which is what's supposed to happen when you're in their, on their turf. But it was.
There's a little security cam footage of Daria.
Security cam. Nice.
That's what it looks like from here. I got a new toy I'm playing with, so hey, we'll have a little fun with it, see what we come up with. Let's see.
I think Giselle Poss may be a couple of pairs to the right of this.
Yeah, I'll have to see what I can
thought I was looking down there and caught. Not sure if that was her or not.
I'll try to find her here in a second. Let's take another look at Giorgio.
I got a little forward.
And
you get a little forward, that shoulder rolls a little quick. It's awfully hard to get it as far right as you want. That is a result that's pretty common. I felt the same way, Giorgio. That pair was not nice compared to the one before it. Way flatter in the middle. The spot he was playing hooked a little bit more, and when he goes left, it hooks quite a bit more than that. And oh, just jumped up there and grabbed it.
Yeah, we'll get over to Giselle in a second. We're going to get that sighted in, and then She's on 51-2.
Okay. Further down than I thought.
But yeah, we'll drag her in a second.
No worries. Hard to tell from down here. I just catch glimpses of forms you've seen bowl before, I guess. And
yeah.
I really don't know who was up on the high end. I know there's a bunch of people walking through the building, but
yeah, most of them are done on the day. Well, let's take it. Since we still have the security cam up, why not?
You know,
it's just amazing how fluid everything is for Daria. I mean, it just seems like there's no wasted motion whatsoever.
Yeah, and yet there is some in there because she hasn't had the success that I think she would honestly say that she would expect, and that a lot of people have expected. So there's something there that's stopping her from getting to that next level. Obviously, she's an elite player, but to a spot where she could be competing for titles on a more regular basis.
Yeah, I can't even. I mean, I try to follow the women's tour whenever possible, and I can't remember the last time I saw her in a stepladder. It's been a bit. I'm sure I'm probably mistaken. I'm sure someone
I think she made one. She made one here pretty recently, but
yeah.
It's been a minute since she won,
yeah.
and certainly that's what we all measure, and that's what we all dream of is to win. And so I'm sure she can't wait to get back in that spot again, and I'm pretty sure she will.
So yeah, Giselle passed 220 or 206 her second game, so to go to 226 opener. So we'll pick her up in game 3. We get her.
Oh, that's fun. Hi.
We got somebody on Blanchard's pair that's got open in the next 7, so we'll get over there after Ken makes his toss at the bucket. You had one of those that wasn't
yeah, I had some success. I had a pair down there that a 2-8-10 on the one. I had a couple of right lanes back to back that really kept me off balance, and they hooked in the middle, and so you really had to pick a side, and really said, wow, nice spare for 230. Brandon Harris. We're here on the left lane with a potential 267, 265. Increase the total a little.
Yeah, I gotta get used to reading these totals again because it doesn't add the strikes in until the
right.
end.
Yeah, you had 197 the first game, so. Oh, I'm sorry, that was left-hander was on the other pair. So.
Just so everybody knows, we're at like 25-6 our own little quarters, so we're looking straight across everything. So it's pretty easy to think somebody's on one lane and they're actually on another. I've done it all event.
Phil will try and keep me squared away.
Yeah.
So, $5. So.
Michael Fitzgerald's on 33-4. So.
Brandon Harris with a nice 267 game. That gives him 60 over. First game didn't go that great on the other end of the building.
I know Fitzgerald's a regional guy. I don't know if he's made any tour stops. I don't remember him seeing any tour stops, but I only hit a couple myself this year, obviously.
Virginia's bowled some stops on the West Coast. And she did shoot 220 game 1. Trying to bail this one out, kind of trying to backdoor. She got, okay, just put it up. So she can shoot 220 this game as well.
Yeah. Not too often you get music at a PBA event while competition's going on. Bayside's about it. That all I can think. It's the only one I can remember that.
Yeah, there's been more background and some different things, but mostly exhibitions.
Yeah, yay or nay for you?
Don't care so much anymore.
Okay. As long as it's constant, really, is what it seems to be for you guys.
Yeah, it's the odd sounds, and it does cover up a lot of the white it becomes white noise, so it covers up a lot of the odd noises that in the back or on the side that you would normally hear in an event, and
like Jason Couch cheering for a Commander's touchdown, but that rarely happens, so you don't have to worry about that too much.
yeah, that's it. They might be okay this year.
Yeah, I still love the Pressler ass where everybody was just giving you grief about the Chiefs, and who had the last laugh on that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I was back at home where I grew up in Topeka and did an interview on a local radio, and somebody was coming on talking about how the Chiefs were really going to struggle this year because they lost Juju Schuster. Okay, so they're going to lose more from that team than they did when they lost Tyreek?
Yeah. Come on.
Well, as long as Kelsey's healthy, it'll all work out. Yeah. If he's not, doesn't matter if it's Juju or Tyreek.
Right.
They struggle a lot when he's not on the field. He creates a lot of problems.
6'6", and that's a lot of problems at tight end.
He's just another wide receiver. He's just a giant one.
So
the bigger deal is they're on the same page.
So
they know each other, they see each other, and they just have a hookup and a connection that supersedes the talent.
So just popped in the chat that Michael Fitzgerald in Virginia, you're going to see them at the Lucy Doubles. Well, you won't see them at the Lucy Doubles.
I will not.
Is this the first time you haven't bowled?
I've missed a few of them over the years, but not very many.
Okay.
I've been going for 24 years, I think it is. And 1 year I actually hurt my back. I was supposed to bowl with Lyndon. I hurt my back moving balls around at the event, actually. The myriad of balls on the floor, and she ended up having the high set of the whole thing, and bowled guy subbed in, and he barely averaged 200. She actually finished, I think it was fourth, basically on her own ball.
Wow.
Kind of what Shannon did when she drug Bill to the finish the 1 year. So
just 1 year?
Well, that wouldn't be nice to Bill.
We'll take a little intermission here. We'll be back with Game 3 coming up next.
We can talk about more Bill O'Neill and how he's the best cheerleader of doubles in the PBA, PWA doubles tournaments.
Game 3 getting ready to get underway. And D'Artagnan Sellers, local player, did very well in his youth career, and now bowling in college for Purdue University, going for an engineering degree. It's a lot of engineering and physics in bowling.
There is quite a bit.
And there's a pretty famous Purdue grad that's done pretty well in the bowling industry over a few years. Now owns his own company. He's one of the tables here at the LBC National Championships with Ron Hickland and the Creating the Difference. So, along with many of the other PBA sponsors, that nice to see the scroll going. So support your favorite product registered partner, including, let's see, you got yourself Cool Wick, Vice, Bowler's Mart. There's one here at Blair Wauwatosa, 900 Global, of course. So, gotta get the promos in.
Yeah.
Again, some of the jerseys nowadays are starting to look like NASCAR jerseys.
Well, this one does,
which is good.
This is more of a Beef and Barnesy one where we have all of our show sponsors on it too. So, you know, Platinum Ford.
I just saw a Platinum Ford shirt when I walked down the high end for a second to fix something up.
Lightning Strikes. They host a PBA 50 stop. Robert Eddy there in Fort Myers, Florida. So, Lance Lowerfield, the local chiropractor / PBA 50 guy. Had some success out there.
Let's take a peek in on Daria Payuk. Yeah, we were talking last game a little bit about Daria and the PWBA Tour and stuff. It's tough to get yourself to be a superstar in a PWBA Tour when there's 12 titles a year. Another.
It's a very short learning curve, and it makes things take a lot longer when you have a limited number of tournaments to get there, for sure. And you know, being super talented, while you know everybody looks at it as a blessing, can really be a curse as well, because there's a lot of expectations from the people around you that can get it there maybe sometimes before you're ready for it to happen, and it becomes pressure on its own. And you know, a player from around here, AJ Johnson, that everybody knows he's super talented, been close a few times to winning, and really has bowled well enough to win a few times already, but it hasn't worked out. So then that becomes a tagline, you know, that's fun for people to talk about. It's not very much fun to be talked about.
Yeah.
As the player. And it kind of brings on its own life after a little bit, and becomes an extra bit of pressure that no one really needs before they actually have titles.
Yeah, Daria's got one title under her belt, but that was also during her rookie year when she made Rookie of the Year in 2017, and then
and then it upped the ante everywhere else to go along with it too. And you know, Jeremy Sonnenfeld, the first one to shoot 900, I thought it made things very difficult for him because he was extremely talented, and but he never got to bowl bad again without everyone knowing. From then on, he was, you know, until more of it, and now it's become less of a thing, I guess. But at that time, it certainly was enormous news that somebody did that, and you know, it came with an extra set of pressure that was hard to overcome.
Yeah, I think that's it's that way for a lot of the 900 shooters. I mean, even you know, I was there the night Tony Roventini shot the second 900 ever at a local establishment here in Milwaukee, Classic Lanes Greenfield, and you know, even he was a PBA regional player at the time, and even that, as you said, adds a little different aspect. All of a sudden, you show up somewhere, and everybody expects kind of like the 900 to show up.
Yeah, well, and it, you know, I said, and I felt bad for Kelly, but you know, once she won like she did, she never got to fly under the radar again, and so the spotlight was always on her, and she was in a tough situation. Yeah. It's much more difficult to be in the middle of the rev rate field and be that successful versus being at the high end where she is on the women's side, where she in a very dominating phase during that time of her career, and
taking care of all kinds of business.
So you know, everybody wanted it to be a story. She had a lot of extra responsibilities on top of just bowling, but she wasn't having, all the success that kind of comes with that. Makes it easier to deal with sometimes.
Rivs in the chat says, Chris Barnes was the nicest guy to meet today, by the way. Thanks for a great experience. A lot of people say, don't meet your heroes. Glad I did and had a great conversation with you. So that's pretty cool to see.
So take that, Stu. That's what Stu says all the time. He tongue-in-cheek says I was his hero, which is a complete lie, fabrication. But he and Dom like to drill balls like they're candy.
Yeah.
And I had a DCT that I liked for a while. He's like, how many of those have you drilled? And I go, that's still the original one. And it was 7 years later, and he goes, you should never meet your heroes. It's just so disappointing. So.
Yeah. Well, and a couple of people in the chat mentioning, of course, the Beef and Barnesy podcast. Honestly, I'm part of a podcast here. It used to be a radio show in Milwaukee with the Spare Time Bowling Show.
Right.
And I really, most cases, try to avoid listening to other podcasts because of getting ideas in my head or hearing things that I don't. But for you guys, you guys have a totally different outlook because you're out there with the experience with it. It's not armchair quarterbacking like even I'm doing with Sparky and Dwight on the podcast we do now, that we're not a radio show anymore, and a podcast on Odyssey Networks and Odyssey YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
but you guys just bring such a different vibe to the podcast game.
Well, I guess you're in a unique situation of not really, we're not second guessing anybody. We're just telling you what we saw, and the behind the scene or behind the curtain, so to speak, is that's. We were there, so we tell you what we see. But we're very much a fan-driven show.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of commentary. If that's today, we want to talk about bowling balls, then we do. And if the next day we want to talk about PWA, well, then that's what we do. And it just kind of goes where it goes. And, the great thing about being with Stu is there's no shortage of opinions between the two of us. And while we don't necessarily agree on all that much, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Even the one thing I remembered before the pandemic, the last thing at the World Series of Bowling was you and Stu sitting in the booth while the World Championship match play was going on. I just got the hell out of there because once you guys were in there, it was a great thing. I loved listening to that. It was a beautiful thing. And Oscar was trying to chime in here and there. Behind you guys, I hand you guys notes and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it was a good time. And
that's really where this thing was born. It was a couple of times of us getting on that show together and having two different takes on what was going on and being able to kind of fill in each other's gaps or weaknesses or strengths or whatever you want to say it. But and we just had a good time. We got in there, we laughed a lot, and we're both pretty analytical, so we could give you some reasons of why we think it just doesn't make any sense. Why is he throwing that? Well, he's doing it because this and this and this. And that didn't work. And they go, well, yeah, you can't see that very easily when you're just watching. But having bowled, you go, yeah, now I understand why he's doing it now. I didn't win 2 days ago, but now it's pretty clear that he's doing the right thing. And what I thought was the right thing was not. So.
Hey, here's a Platinum Forward shirt right now on Ron Boroff.
Ron Boroff, yeah, he's a Dallas-Fort Worth guy, and they give those away for when you Adam Vinci is a GM of one of the stores there, and he challenges guys every night in league, and if you beat him, then you get a jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They do a giveaway down there where you show your card and take a test drive, and you get a Platinum Forward ball that they've contracted through, so it's been everything from the spare ball to it's been a UC2, it's been I think a gem, it's been a high road. I mean, they've had some great bowling balls that go through, and they have the Platinum 4 logo on the side of them.
Yeah. And you just take a test drive.
You take a test drive, show your card, and they have come to dominate basically the bowling business, the bowling card business. They go there, they treat people right. They they make a margin, but it's a fair margin. And here, this is what we paid. This is our, we need 2,500, over that, but we're not getting you for 8,000 or 12,000 or 15,000 like some of these guys try. And it's kind of no haggle. It's a fair deal. And when you compare them, they always comes out pretty good. And and now they're they're cycling back through repeat business now, and people make the extra drive to go see them. And Stu's a customer. He drove up from Austin to go see him and get a vehicle, and we've bought from him as well.
Did he get his truck wrapped too?
No, he had. Oh, okay. What he did, he needed work done on his truck.
Oh, okay.
And so they did loaners. So they're super friendly. So he had that loaner with that crazy wrap on it, and that thing was a beast. That would have towed your house. But
50 bowling balls in the back, no problem.
50, yeah. 50 in a 40-foot trailer would have been no problem in that thing. It was a.
That's cool. I didn't know that about Platinum Ford. So I got.
Yeah, they have about 7 brands actually.
Okay.
And so Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge. So I mean, I don't mean to do the commercial for them, but they've been great, and they support a ton of tournaments in that Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah.
So. He does some really cool marketing ideas, and they're all based off of. He's a 185 average bowler, and he likes to challenge. And he has a cutout, and it sits behind the pair of whoever he's challenging that night, and it's pretty fun.
That's
He has a good time with it.
Wow! Now Giselle Post goes 2-8-10, moves to the other lane of the pair, and almost leaves 3-6-7 and gets the 3 out. So not having.
Yeah, she's not having any fun on this pair. She has 2 strikes for the whole game now.
Yeah, well, actually, the car dealer my wife and I buy all our stuff from is a guy we used to bowl league with. So in a local center that now, unfortunately, remember the name Ned Day?
Of course.
Historical?
Yeah.
Ned Day's Bowlodrome, unfortunately, is going to be no more. It changed hands, obviously, a few times since then, but they still had the original lanes in there from when it was Ned Day's Bowlodrome, and now it got to the point where the owner passed away during COVID. His son was running it, and now they got a really good offer because of the size of the space and the parking they have in a very urban area.
The dirt's worth more than the business.
The dirt's worth more than the business, especially the parking lot when you have to deal with street parking in that area. Yeah, so it's unfortunately another one's going to bite the dust. We had a lot of fun at Riviera Lanes over time, but I heard from several people that another center unfortunately is going to bite the dust. But yeah, Ned Day's Bowlodrome.
Huh.
All the old. Well, I think that was the last one that was left that was actually owned by like early ABC Hall of Famers back in the day with Charlie Daw and Ned Day and Hank Marino, and they own several centers around Milwaukee for
Well, speaking of that, Ron's son, Ryan Boroff, looks like he's turning at 5'15".
Yeah.
5'16" for 2, and working on 270 going in the 10th. So got a potential run here at one of the big numbers.
Yeah, let's stick with him all the way through the rest of here, game 3, and see how it goes. Seemed that he was kind of taking a scenic route to the pocket. He was getting a little deep, but he wasn't. His ball speed was only about 16 miles an hour. Obviously, you can't always go by the ball speed because
the ball speed is down at that scanner that you can see the bump on the gutter cap at around 47, 48 feet, I guess. And on average, balls will slow down about 2.5 miles per hour from off the hand. And obviously, that's not an exact. The more dry you hit, the more it's going to slow down. But
let's see.
Where a spare ball doesn't really slow down very much, you get a more accurate read of what the actual ball speed is.
Chris Barnes is like E.F. Hutton. Somebody has in the chat. When Chris Barnes talks, people listen. And apparently that's happening because, the viewers are this is the most I've seen concurrent viewers in pretty much the whole event except for Norm. And it's pretty easy to get outdrawn by Norm, let's be honest.
Norm he's entertaining. He's got great stories and, one of the legends of the game.
Yeah, 40. It's one of the best bowling T-shirts I've ever seen is the one that's on sale here in the lobby. The 40 years, 40 titles T-shirt. Just to get those. How about that for a slap 10? Yeah, I'd be smiling at that big 2 coming back.
I tell you what, he's going to have. He's looking at 795 turning.
A monster.
He's at 780 now, no matter what happens. So.
Yeah. we'll stick with Ryan after he makes the turn. As we said, you got to be patient with us, folks, because we got to find the ones that, it's not like round 3 of a PBA qualifier where you know who's got, in the lead or who's second or whatever. It's a little skittish here in the main feed booth for these PBA LBC events because you never know who's going to do anything. We've had some names. We showed the names. Josh Blanchard let us down, and David O'Sullivan, that guy.
Oh,
how about that? Look at. Is he going to get one more game on the high end here? Let's see. He's on 57-8.
Yeah, he should get at least one. He might get 2. Some of these low end pairs are out of play right now. So.
Yeah, he just made a big move, so he should be on. He should be on either 63 and 64 next game, I believe.
At least one more, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Now, whether that ball can last much longer, because it's obviously those were 2 shots that both could have very easily been. Where they were basically flat 10s. One the 6 barely touched it, and the second one, the head pin took care of business.
And that was kind of a flat off the hand.
I didn't see if that was a ball change or whether that was he just tried to do something different and it didn't work.
It didn't look pretty at release, so I think it was the same ball.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like an exotic gem that he's throwing there.
Speaking of Josh Blanchard, hey, he's finally got a 3-bagger on the board. Good to see. Got some other players.
That's all right.
Take a peek here. Not a lot going on.
Team Shocker making a run at the doubles, right? Yeah.
Well, let's see. Jonathan Shallow, 60, he gets another 120 on that. Actually, 130 on that. So that'd be 750. So he's not bad.
I forgot the doubles is just the first 3 games.
Yeah.
So had a couple of partners, but nothing really materialized to being real good. So.
I think I was talking earlier about how neat this tournament is where you can bowl with people off other squads. Did you have anybody that bowled before you that told you that you wanted to partner up with
No,
you?
actually, I wasn't on the sheet for the top 50. And so, I didn't get I mean, to be fair, if you're going to sign up for one or 2 people, there's some pretty big names that have bowled really well in this place. And so
I'm sure EJ Tackett's got a lot of hangers on at this.
I would think EJ. I wouldn't be surprised if Packy had a couple. It's another guy that's he's basically made a career. Started a career out of bowling here.
Yeah. Packy bowled a youth event I had right before the World Series of Bowling, and the 3 pros that the kids had a chance to bowl with on the live stream were Don Barrett, Ryan Simonelli, and Packy. And when Ryan showed up and he saw who the other 2 were, he goes, well, I'm going to be last. He goes, everybody thinks I'm Packy's grandpa anyway. So and he was right. He got picked last, and he beat his team beat Dom's team the first 2 games.
To be fair, it's not because they think he's Packy's grandpa. They just didn't know who he was. So Packy's got a great YouTube channel if you want to be entertained. I'm a big believer in authenticity, and Packy is exactly who he is. He kind of looks like Shaggy, from the Scooby-Doo stuff, and he's a loose, free-spirited guy that has a lot of fun, doesn't take himself too seriously, works awfully hard at the game, and he works really hard to create content that's I think average, the normal people want to see.
Yeah,
I find him entertaining, and he's just a good dude. So
one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the sport was after he won in Jackson, gets title number 1 under the belt, and as they were wrapping up, he goes, "Hey guys," he asked the crowds in front of him. He goes, "Guys," he goes, "as soon as I'm done with this, I'll sign everything. I'll take pictures. I'll be here all night for you. But I gotta call my mom and dad." Like, he did not want to wait to call his family, and he did. He went over. He just walked to the side of the bowl TV set, took his phone out, knelt down, set the phone down, and mom and dad answered the phone just screaming. And it was a great moment to see over his shoulder, and all the fans. And that was the best part. All the fans just sat there, respected his wishes, and.
Yeah.
Did I say Jackson? It was Kokomo he won. I'm sorry.
It was Kokomo.
Kokomo. All those Dave Small centers start to blend together.
Well, those 2 are a little bit more different than some of the rest of them.
Yeah.
Anderson and Jackson are they have very similar bones and characteristics.
Right.
Speaking of Jackson, they'll go in there next week. So.
Yeah, you guys.
Kokomo is probably the smallest of the 3 centers.
Yeah, 32
of
lanes.
his there.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple others, obviously. He's building a small empire here in the Midwest of centers. But
yeah, he actually bought a 16-laner in Michigan near It's about an hour away from Jackson, about an hour northeast. But he goes, I'm going to get the bowling going. He goes, but the restaurant's so good. So, and that's one thing, walking to a Dave Small Center, you will not have bad food at a Dave Small Center. That cannot happen. He will not let that happen.
Hardner, I bragged on you for just a minute. So you get for wearing long sleeves and not being on the Codger squad.
Yeah, what's long sleeves and shorts?
Well, well.
I'm trying to figure that one out.
That's a very left-handed move, to be honest. But
he kind of looks like if the wrestler's Public Enemy were making a comeback.
It looks like he's got a hockey jersey on right now. He just needs skates with that outfit right there. He'd be all set. But to be fair, it's whatever it is, 75 here.
Hey, bravo!
And so it's 50 degrees cooler than what he left in Phoenix this morning. So
yeah, it's been a pretty decent.
It's a very
summer.
chilly.
All the guys,
80 degrees or whatever it is today.
A lot of guys said, I wish I would have packed my golf clubs too and stayed an extra day with the way the weather's been here. So with some good golf courses around. You much of a golfer?
I like to play. Yeah.
I like to play. I'm terrible at playing, but I do like to play.
If I'm playing with Tommy, then I'm a 12 handicap.
Okay.
So
a
little closer to 8, probably. Really.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I like to play, but I'm not anywhere near scratch or anything.
That's a lot better than me. If I can break 90 from the middle set of tees, I'm a happy camper, and that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, we normally play 6,500. The days of playing stretching to the back tees, I might hit it far enough off the tee, but I don't hit anything else good enough to play from back there. So.
Sounds like a buddy of mine. He's great with a driver, and everything else is just a crapshoot.
Oh, I'm not great with it. I just hit it far enough.
You just hit it far? Okay.
If it's not crazy far, but I mean, Nakashima Golf, the Vice Grip guys, they make clubs, and we've done the whole fitting thing, and so it matches up with me as best as you can match up my inconsistent swing. So, I enjoy playing. I play with. We have a group we're working on get it to 8 to 12 this year. Guys that play together on the off the mornings that we bowl, and then play in the afternoon or on the off days. So.
Okay. So in the chat, somebody asked the question: who has more bowling stories, Chris Barnes or Larry Lichstein?
Larry.
Did you know Larry's back at Lightning Strikes?
I did.
Okay.
I talked to Robert Eddy quite a bit.
Okay.
So, Robert's a good man. He's Larry needed a little work, and he opened arms and welcomed him back in. And so Larry's down there doing live streaming and doing some stuff. And, there's some win-win for both sides because Larry's got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
He's seen the bodies buried, I think. So it was when the tour was a much more colorful lifestyle than it became later on. So.
I remember reading some old books from the 80s. One was called The Perfect Game, and they had some of the Pro Tour stories there. Carmen Salvino just walks into the restaurant at the bowling center with a tea bag in his mouth and just says, "Pour some hot water in there, and I'll be fine." They used to play apparently a card game called Pan on tour. I don't think it was Lich that ate cards, but somebody else in that game had to eat cards.
Oh, jeez.
When it was done, yeah. Like you just see some of this stuff, you hear some. It's like, boy, if some of these guys could just actually write a book once and just say, publish it 20 years after I'm gone.
Yeah, well, so. I think Larry could write a book, Lenny could write a book, Nicholson. I'm sure Johnny would write a much different type of book because he a little more straight-laced than some of the crowd was. The 70s was a different time, and even after the fact, the stories are pretty incredible, and they sound crazy, and whether they're real or not, it doesn't really matter. They're pretty entertaining.
Right, no doubt. So we got some player movement happening again. We're going to take a little audio intermission. The questions are starting to pile up in the chat. I promise we'll get to a couple more next game. Game 3 wrapping up. Game 4 coming up shortly. Bolero Wauwatosa. Hey, you still have another weekend to get in. Get up here. Bowl this LBC National Tournament. All right, it's question time, Oh, they have lined up in the chat. This is beautiful, everybody. All right, this is the last game we're going to get Mr. Barnes before he has to head out. He's got a little travel to take care of, so thanks, everybody, for hanging around. And let's start with, let's see, Fort Worth checking in. Somebody asking if you've thrown the Storm IQ Tour Ruby. That's out now. Okay.
Yeah, that's been out for a little bit. Pretty clean, pretty responsive. Somewhere between the Black IQ and the Emerald. A little closer to the Emerald, but stronger. It's pretty quick off the spot. So, I believe Verity threw it as part of their 1520 today.
Okay.
I think she threw an Absolute and an IQ Ruby.
I have to go back and check it, and that's the one nice thing for everybody. If you want to see what Verity shot today or what Chris shot today, all these YouTube feeds archived permanently on the PBA YouTube channel. From David, what would you recommend for a practice regimen for bowlers prepping for a big tournament? Let's say they were coming to prep here for the LBC. What would you recommend for?
First of all, just make sure you have some separation in your equipment. We have a tendency to like the same types of balls, and you end up going to tournaments with 4 balls that all roll good on the same thing, but it means they also probably all roll bad on the same thing. And so I try and make sure I don't really have more than 2 balls that look really good at one time. And if I have two of them that are too close, just make sure that I get a few more. Practice your spare game. Make sure you rotate in. Don't hit the reset button. And practice playing a couple of different lines, speed-wise and rotation-wise.
All right. Let's see. Someone's asking what's happening tomorrow. I'm bowling at 2. Not sure what to expect. Well, you're bowling the Pearson tomorrow?
I am not.
You're
tomorrow,
not. Okay,
but,
not tomorrow.
There is a group at I think at 5 o'clock that's bowling the Peterson.
Okay. Gluttons for punishment.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Had some fun. I've enjoyed it. If I was staying a little closer, I would come in just for the entertainment purpose, but
little far to drive back for. But
yeah, it's a little bit of a hike back.
So
Virginia Young,
right
there. So
here's a good question.
Okay.
Somebody watching YouTube, and of course you get those little video recommendations that pop up.
Yep.
Apparently, it knows your voice, because for bowling, for Boondoggle 42, the 2001 PBA Villages Sun Bowl popped up in his YouTube recommendations. What was it like bowling outside?
I've been fortunate. I got to bowl outside a few times. Actually, that was one of them. I actually ended up on Sports Illustrated when that was still a thing. From bowling the practice there in sunglasses. It was very interesting. It was February, but it was pretty warm, and so at that time we had not bowled outside like we did for the team things later on, where we bowled several years in a row.
Okay.
The first time we did it. We're at the Villages. Pretty nice crowd for it, the whole thing. It was about 70, 78 or so, which makes it closer to 90 on the lanes, which is a little warm. Halfway through the show, it starts to sprinkle.
Oh, jeez.
And just some drops. But you want to talk about sheer panic on a live show?
Yeah.
Just one cloud came over, dink, 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 dink. And everybody stops, of course. We cut, we go to commercial. We're like, oh my God, what's going on? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it stopped and it dried up enough. And oil and water is not a fantastic mix, but the show went on, and the approaches were good enough to not really. I mean, it didn't leave a lot of moisture. It dissipated pretty quick, and
And away you went.
Other than getting beat by left-handers, which I think sucks. There's 2 things I remember. I remember that, and I think that was the first time anybody bowled in shorts on TV. I think Doug Kemp bowled on shorts, and after 2 games, I was in last place.
Oh, wow.
And I got to second. I had 3-0 or something like that for the first 2. 3-0 or 3-10.
Yeesh.
And just miserable. And it's some of the worst strategy. I worked with Rick Benoit then, and we didn't miss very often like that. And it was miserable strategy, like completely whiffed all the way around. Could not get out of my own way. Everything was wrong. Everything was a split. And then we got it figured out and then made a run. But, that was the one time whoa, we're way far behind. I was 200 behind the leaders after 2.
That probably wasn't the hottest outdoor, though. You had this
no.
thing at Great America in
St.
outside
Louis.
of Chicago and St. Louis.
No. St. Louis was miserably hot. It was 100, like actual temperature.
Oh, jeez.
They had a heat gun. We had those director chairs, and they were black.
Oh.
And you sat down on them, and any exposed hair was instantly incinerated when you sat down. It was Meek and I did not wear shorts. We didn't think that was – we just didn't think it was professional. It wasn't the right thing to do, so we didn't. But it was miserably hot. The lanes were like 140.
Oh.
Those chairs were 1,000. The gutter caps were 165. They were curling up and melting. The plastic gutters. It was so hot.
I can't imagine what those lanes transitioned like.
Walter and Pete won. No, not Walter and Pete. Walter and Norm won. And, I mean, not that they wouldn't have been, amongst the favorites anyway. This is 15 years ago. But the fact they didn't have to move. If you missed a turn or the guy in your team didn't strike and you got to go like a couple of frames, you probably had to move a blind 3 or 4 just to try and catch up. We moved like 8 within the game. It was unbelievable. One game on a fresh run.
Let's see, what else do we got? Daniel Wilson. Physics suggests a 14-pound ball is the optimal ball weight. Why do people insist on bowling heavy weights? I thought somebody had supposedly published a study or something, but
it can be beneficial if there's an if. Like, if you can throw 16 the same speed and rev rate as 15, then 16 is advantage.
Yeah.
If you're soft on speed, then going to 14 increases your rev rate and speed. Oh yeah, that's an advantage, and that's where it pieces out. Like Brianna Cote has had tremendous success throwing 14 versus 15, but I don't think Shannon O'Keefe would.
Right.
She has no struggle with ball speed. As a matter of fact, the problem would be probably getting her ball to slow down if she went to 14. And so most guys, Bill O'Neill's the best bowler on our tour, I think, that's given a real try. Doherty tried it this year too. I wouldn't say nobody's lining up based off their watching, the eyeball test and going, oh, I'm next.
Yeah.
Bill went back to 15. I don't know that Doherty did, but Doherty's is largely related to his wrist and back issues, and so it made it easier on him. And it's it's a survival.
You're still at
for him. I'm at 15 now. I was 16 until a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So,
are there still 16s loaded on the 50 truck? Not a lot.
More on that truck than there is on the regular tour.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
There's old school guys that just keep doing the same thing. Jack Jurek's still 16.
Okay.
Tony Lanning. JJ might be. Okay. I think he might have gotten to 15 now. Patrick James. What are you doing? After that start, that miserable first game, he was up to 680 after 3. So a troop rally there, and he missed left. Mr. O'Sullivan also at 690 after 3, but now sprinting out ahead with a 4-bagger until that shot, which was also left.
Here's a question from Denise Williams. Why do some houses not tell you their oil pattern? I thought if someone would ask, they'd tell you. Maybe
they probably, most of them probably would if you asked for them. They just don't print them out and put them out. But almost every house pattern these days is 41 to 43 feet, 25 to 27, 28 mils, depending on the age of your surface, and about 10 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody's going, wow, I want to make them hard on my bowlers tonight.
Right.
Because nothing makes me happier unless a bunch of bowlers complain.
Right. And walk out and don't buy any beer and
get
load
mad,
my cash register.
Yeah,
right.
Leave and not drink and not eat. So no proprietor is signing up for that on purpose. So
what was it like bowling Rudy Revs for your first title in Erie in '99?
It was nice to have a bow put on a gift. That's in a lot of ways, it was a pretty comfortable show for me. It was my second show ever. I bowled Steel Smith, I bowled Patrick Healy, and then I bowled Rudy Revs. So there's 3 guys. I mean, Steel Smith was all the Wichita State guys' idols. Yeah. And so that was out of the 3 was probably the toughest one. I bowled with Healy and a bunch of Team USA, and team challenges. And then Rudy, we'd been bowling against, and I'd been more successful than Rudy during the period when I was a professional amateur. Yeah. Rudy had more success, but he had more success before in the urethane era before I was really out of college yet.
Okay.
And once we got to that point, I felt pretty comfortable in that. And I'd bowled all the action matches with Rudy already. His act, no matter what it was, which is going to be a tone down because it's tour, and he was nervous too. And that's what it was. It was two guys bowling for the first title, both nervous. The lanes were not particularly hard, and we neither one of us bowled our best game, but I was fortunate to come out on top.
Last time I saw Rudy Revs was the plastic ball, the Billy Hardwick tournament in Memphis in 2017. Rudy was there.
Yeah, he's down in Tupelo and
runs an auction house, he said.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still hanging around. I still see him time to time and chat with him a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't see him as much as I just chat. Wow, that's the double duty there. You miss one left and then shove the next one through a hard to the right. Walk that mile more than a couple of times.
Yeah, I think PJ's looking forward to the Peterson tomorrow already.
Yuck. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
what else we got?
When did you decide that you wanted to be a pro bowler from Denise Williams?
I committed to bowling full time my senior year in high school when I finally got out of Kansas for the Coca-Cola tournament. I was like the fifth best bowler in Kansas, so I didn't really think much about it until I got there and realized, all five of those guys at home were all better than anyone I was seeing at the national finals. I went, oh, well, I might not be that bad at this. And I'd only been a part-time guy. I bowled, 3 games, maybe 6 games a week at most. And one of my friends who's a year older than me had already gone to Wichita, and I went, maybe we can make that work. I'd gone on some recruiting visits to Division II schools and playing in gyms that were smaller than my high school, and it just didn't. It just didn't feel like it was the right thing, and so bowling became my focus. And then I watched Bob learn. I got pretty good in college and was making good living there, and then Team USA and all that. But watching Bob learn bowl in that Erie arena, I'm like, that's the most basketball-like atmosphere that I'd seen. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. And ironically, that's where I beat Rudy for my first title. It's just the perfect venue. I love that arena. I love the arenas more than the quiet.
Yeah.
And wish we bowled in that more often.
Same. I love to just sit and the uniqueness of Miller Park when they did it there, and the uniqueness for the women when they did it at Cowboy Stadium. I mean, it's just one of those things where
where Linda has the highest 3-game set.
Yeah. So, exactly.
She didn't win, unfortunately, but
no, Leanne got her in the end. But
she had one shot, ball in hand. She actually tore tendons in her fingers there. Her forearm was numb when she was bowling the last 3 or 4 frames.
Oh wow! So, did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So.
She's not much of a she's tough, but she had no feeling at the bottom of her hand, and she thought she could pull it off for one more game. But
is she bowling league again or anything? Or?
She just started back like maybe 6-8 weeks ago.
Okay.
So not much. I mean, a Thursday summer league with the boys.
Having some fun with it.
She went to nationals, shot 1850 with no practice, and basically had no idea what her balls did. I put together a little arsenal for her, but she didn't really know what they did. Like, throw this one. Okay. And they didn't seem that hard to me. And she goes, I didn't bowl very well. Like, she had like a 170, 150, 170 to start off every set. Yeah. And then when she got a little loose and got her feet underneath her,
there's 230.
She averaged like 225 the other 6 games. It was absurd. Everybody goes, wow, they're so hard. She goes, really? Not that hard.
Let's see here. Somebody asking how to play the Big Ben oil pattern. I'm not familiar. It's got to be one of those Kegel. Yeah, it's got to be one of those Kegel patterns.
Probably a long, thin pattern. I'm pretty sure.
You should have asked that when we had Janowitz in the booth this afternoon at 2:00. He probably designed that damn pattern.
Well, he certainly knows. I think I'm pretty good with oil patterns, and I am merely a pretender when it comes to the amount of knowledge he has.
Did it surprise you when all of a sudden you see a report coming out of a West Regional that John Janowitz is out there bowling as a member?
Well, I didn't know why he was out there, but we knew he was going to join.
Okay.
And then, John has friends everywhere. He's the nicest guy ever. And when we didn't know what was going on with Layman, I made the joke earlier this week even that I'm like, Janusz is going to be the first guy to be like PBA 50 Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year, Steve Nagy, and the Lane Man all at the same time. I go, he's so nice. He could be the Lane Man, beat us while doing it, and nobody would
nobody would think twice about it.
It might be our only chance right now is if he has to actually do the patterns himself, then he might mess himself up.
Well, yeah, he has to wake up 3 hours early to get the oiling done.
We just wear him down. That's right.
How many times have you bowled with John in international competition?
He and I have been on Team USA several times, but in big competitions. We bowled in the zones, I think at least 3 times in the World Championships, at least once and maybe twice. So John's a fantastic teammate. He's basically going to be this generation's Ron Moore. Yeah. He's in better shape than everyone else. His body is not super beat up from bowling, tens of thousands of games on tour. And the one thing that separates him from even Ron, as fantastic his career was, is John has a gigantic bag of tricks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a Doug Kent type game and type tool bag. He can throw it a lot of different ways. So, it's basically about him making the right choices.
I've never had the chance to see John bowl in person until today. Every time I've seen it, it's been live stream or something like that. And you just watch that release, I was just like, wow. It's so different in person.
A very simple, very efficient game, but he can make his ball do some tricks for a guy who's not a super high rev rate, but at the right part of the lane, it's like Wes. Wes's rev rate's not high. Malad, I'm talking about. But it's really high at the right part at the head pin. He gets it going. His rev rate looks like it's 500. Make it do tricks. So
we got a front bunch alert here.
We do.
So let me just double check which Ryan that is, because I know we got a couple on the squad. Ryan Burton. That would be bowling with.
And he's 760 turning already.
Yeah.
So he's looking to.
We just saw Ryan Boroff make the turn over 1,000, and geez. Dear Trey Heinrichsmeyer, don't go to bed yet thinking you might be the leader. 1061 on the turn. It's pretty. It's
really
the only thing I've seen higher is Lenny.
Yeah, the disparities going from pair to pair, and there's still some there's some landmines still out there, I'm afraid. So hopefully they can navigate through them.
Yeah, he's got the pole to deal with. I'm sure his next move is going to be. Next pair could be
he's left-handed too, so.
Yeah. And of course, we just throw that shade right at him.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be near the pole next.
Front 8, and so he's going to be turning well into the thousands after 2. So
it's apparently a pretty good day to be named Ryan on this squad.
Appears. He just needs marks for 1030 going into the last 2, which as huge as that is, you're still 100 short. You still need 5-0 the last 2. So, and he missed it.
Thanks. All right, we got time for one more. Somebody throw another question in the chat, because somebody made a comment about Erie Community College, so I assume that had to be Jack Jurek back in the 70s and 80s. So that
Erie, Rick Steelsmith went there as well. There's been a lot of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Steelsmith went there before he went to Wichita State. Never knew that till this moment.
I take that back. I'm wrong. It was Vincennes.
Oh, Vincennes. Okay. Yeah, it's another school with a great history.
Yeah, those two both had bowling management programs, I think it was at the time.
Yep.
I don't know if they still do or not, but yeah. Yeah, Rick's one of the four-time All-Americans. Very elite class that has done that. Linda's actually on that list as well.
Here we go. We're going to slap it off with the last question of the night from Denise. What do you think about the urethane rule that's coming out?
I think we finally got some fairness. All things aside, the real point of it is that the current rule is based off of a fairness in manufacturing stage, which made sense for decades, because really until that Omaha deal where we tested balls in the field, we didn't know balls got soft. We didn't know any types of balls got softer. Reactives don't. Turns out today's urethane at least does, and pretty significantly. So the USBC is focused on manufacturing hardness, which everything was, and is above the 73 number that is today. But during competition, the PBA's rule is about being above 73 in the middle of competition. Yeah. And from a competitive standpoint, that's what that's what we want. Yeah. I don't care if you use urethane or don't use urethane. Right. I plan on still using it when it's the right tool. Cool. But it also, when it's also above 73, right, then we're on a fair fight. Yeah. Versus
Soaker, ABC went to 72 on the DU scale. PBA went to 75.
Right.
And that got through just peachy keen and fine. There weren't too many balls that said don't use on the PBA when they,
No, when the PBA went to 75, the manufacturers just went to 78.
Yeah.
And that's where balls were made for decades. Yeah. And slowly but surely, USBC went to 72 first, and then the PBA dropped the 75 out of the rules to make them more uniform across the board. And kind of while nobody was paying attention, the manufacturers just started slinking everything a lot closer to that 72 number. And all of a sudden, right around 2011, I guess would be about the right time, balls started to hook a lot more. Yeah. And that's about when some of them started creeping it down to try and catch up and even up or create an advantage for their companies.
Yeah.
And
because no matter what, a label on the bowling ball's still going to have its sell when people see it on TV.
Yeah.
Even if it might not be the proper tool for their arsenal.
Well, they're like, they're trying to ban it. No, 100% no. Yeah. Jacob won about 15 regionals with a 78 hardness booyah. Yeah. He ain't going away.
Yeah.
No, it's certainly, at the very least, a tool for him. I do think there'll be a little less of it, more so on the right than the left. It won't be. There's going to be some junior bowlers that are honestly just going to have to learn how to bowl.
Yeah.
Instead of just defaulting to that, and then when the lane changes, then it becomes the only thing you can throw anyway. It transitions kind of backwards of how reactive transitions. So, for the most part, though, I think it's best for the sport. I think there was some serious discussion at one point about basically a technology-type rule to where anything that got 2 to 3 points softer, period, regardless of whether it's polyester, rubber, reactive, whatever balls are made of in the future, that it would just be banned, period. And so, in fairness, I think to players who use primarily urethane-type cover stocks, I think this is probably more fair and allows them to still have that tool in the bag.
I think it's a perfect way to end the night for you in the booth, Chris.
All right.
I think we're good. Safe travels.
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
See you down the road. I know Mike Eaton Jr. just announced that I'll be live streaming his PBA 50 regional in
I will be there.
Grand Rapids, and then Bowling Green.
Mike Eaton, the former Shocker. I've known him for 20 years now. Looking forward to going back to Spectrum.
Yeah.
So we will see you there. Look forward to that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's the Eaton Senior Memorial Tournament.
Yeah.
Dad lost a battle with cancer, but it's been a what would you say, a pillar?
Yeah, I definitely would say
of the sport in Michigan for several decades. So a great host of the PBA tournaments for over the decades.
Yeah, looking forward to my first time there. So I've heard a lot of great things about that center. I'm glad Mike's bringing me in. And, of course, Bill and Yogi Wamas down in Bowling Green for that great regional. We'll be bringing you that one as well. Check out the $2 Phil Facebook page for all the details on that. Chris, safe travels.
Thanks, $5.
Hey, absolutely. Yeah. And, hey, Beef and Barnsley, like I said, I don't listen to many podcasts. I listen to one other one. It's Beef and Barnsley. Make it worth your time, people.
We'll show up. We'll answer whatever you got to say.
There you go. We'll see you in Game 5 next.
Thank you.
Game 5. Giselle Poss, great start. She's had a rough night to this point. Now front 6 in the course. Can't get that pesky 10 pin to go. So Ryan Boroff, we mentioned, I mean, he was sitting just over 1,000 for 4. We'll take a look for Ryan Becker. It's been the Ryan and Ryan show. Shortly. Once again, thanks to Chris Barnes for sitting in for a few games. He had a long day. I mean, he was here bright and early this morning for the 9 a.m. squad and taking pictures and talking to players. He bowled the 2 o'clock squad, talking to players and talking to fans that were walking up, having a 300 game, and then sitting with us for 4 games tonight, making his way towards Hammond for that next PBA 50 tournament. And glad I'll get to see Chris again in Grand Rapids and in Bowling Green, Ohio, a couple of weeks after we get done here with the LBC National Championships. You still have one more weekend to get in. If you're watching us and you want to bowl, experience what these players are experiencing here at Bolero Wauwatosa, get yourself here. Check out all the tournament information. PBA.com, right on the front page. You'll see that League Bowler Certification National Championship logo. Click on that. It'll get you all the tournament information you need. Let's get back over. See Giselle Poss. We mentioned her 6-bagger and the spare. Even a 2A now. This is a no cake walk here. Taking a look at the chat. Once again, sorry, we got as many questions as we could before Chris departed. I see a question in there. Norm Duke show up as rumored. Yeah, Norm was here opening weekend. So he threw out the ceremonial first ball of the tournament. Got 8. His over-under he set for himself was 7.5. So good for Norm. He took the over on himself and got it. And you can still see Norm every time you show up here at Bolero Wauwatosa. They have a nice portrait of Norm down on the wall by lane 72 of Norm in action. And, of course, the Duke Trophy that will be awarded to the winner of the FS1 TV show that will air October 1st. From all the advancers of this LBC National Championship competition, whether they come from our Open Classic, Senior Classic, Women's Classic, Men's Handicap, Women's Handicap, or Top 50 Pro Divisions. The winner will be walking out of Bayside Bowl with the Duke. taking a look in the chat. Yeah, I wish, sorry we would have gotten that question a little earlier there, Rivs. I know a little bit about the ice oil. I mean, I still have a toe in the water in this game, to be honest. I cover a lot of bowling. I don't bowl much myself anymore due to general decrepity and other factors. I haven't touched the ball since a little bit before the pandemic. But I know the reason why they're using ice oil here is, and we kind of touched on this with John Janowitz a little earlier today on the 2 o'clock squad. If you missed that, it was in game 1 on the main feed. You can go back on the PBA YouTube channel, listen to that. And with the ice oil, it has more factors that lubricate to help the ball get down the lane. It's a very high friction, older lane surface here at Bolero Wauwatosa. They originally put it in let's be realistic. They put it in the year 2000. They were hosting the 2001 WIBC National Championships, and they, at the time, AMF Corporation upgraded the center to host the event, and they had the new lanes put in. And it's the same lane beds that have been there. I'm sure there's been some heads replaced here and there throughout time, that type of thing. But this is a center that gets a lot of open play, like show up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, and it is a full house of open play. And believe it or not, house balls can do a lot of damage to a lane surface, even with the oil on it. And the number of house balls that go down the lane. I mean, look at the house balls on your local bowling center. Look at them on the rack and see how many chips and gouges and that type of thing are on those bowling balls. Every time that rolls over on the lane, that's going to do a microscopic bit of damage to the lane. And as those chips and stuff get gouged more and more and more and more, it increases the surface friction on the lane. So one of the reasons why they're using the ice conditioner is to help the ball get down lane. Chris Barnes talked about it. The oils that they used during the World Series of Bowling, some of the pairs, it was like throwing onto Velcro. I mean, the ball would hit the lane and start to hook. That's why you'd see guys get deep. That's why you'd see guys loft so much when dealing with the changing lanes during the World Series of Bowling. And to prevent league bowlers, I mean, let's be honest, this is the League Bowler Certification National Championships. Yes, there are some great players that are bowling in this event, but there are also a lot of players, especially in the men's handicap and women's handicap divisions, that don't have the physical capabilities of lofting the ball even 8 feet on the lane. It would become very uncomfortable for them. So to prevent those things from happening, that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, and I'm sure if I asked, Eric Pearson, who's handling the lane maintenance here, I'm sure that'd be one of the reasons why, he says he's using it as well. And, Ribs in the chat says, I think whoever built the pattern was smart. Yeah, like John Janowitz talked about at 2 o'clock this afternoon. John Janowitz and Eric Pearson worked at the then ABC National Tournament together with Mike Strani. And Mike Strani was one of the great lane men in the day when it was a lot more of an art than a science. Definitely a lot more of an art than a science. And I had the privilege of knowing Mike Strani before he passed. I've had the privilege of knowing Eric Pearson for 30 years now. And one thing I can tell you is they have always been on top of what's happening with lane conditioning, balls, how they affect the lanes, that type of thing. And you got to remember nowadays, too, topography, we know so much more about lane topography now than we did even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, you couldn't get a topography report on a lane inside a bowling center if you wanted to. Now, before a lot of major events, Kegel has the technology to come in and map lanes, and now there's companies like Bowling Voodoo who can come into a bowling center, map lanes, and then also flatten the lanes out and get rid of the high ridges and the low depressions and try to be more balanced across the lane. I got to see that work up close and personal at Bayside Bowl in Maine. And when you hear from bowlers that have been at Bayside and bowled there for years going, wow, the lanes are playing so close together, they've never done that before. It's a pretty cool thing to hear. It really is. And I know there's a lot of centers throughout the country that have started to use Bowling Voodoo. And the first thing that happens is that the scores increase, and it's not because the patterns get easier. It's because the topography is a lot cleaner. So there's so much in the technical of this thing that I can barely touch on with what I know, and I try to follow stuff as good as I can. But, yeah, when you get the wizards like Janowitz and Barnes, I'm telling you, if you ever get these guys that come to your area for a PBA 50 event, if they're coming anywhere near you this year, a Barnes or a Janowitz or a Walter Ray, you know, after they're done with the round, or bowl the Pro-Am and try to pick their brain with a question or two during the Pro-Am. If they're done with the round, have them sign an autograph and ask them a quick question and see what kind of an answer you get. And, you know, these guys enjoy sharing the knowledge that they've obtained in this sport with the people when they have time. And, you know, things happen. Bowlers have commitments sometimes after a round right away with a sponsor or whatever it may be. Sometimes they may go, hey, here's the Cliff Notes version. So, and hey, thanks for the support in the chat, everybody. I know a lot of you could be doing other things on a Saturday night, for sure. I don't think you could be watching that other bowling service right now. I don't think they have anything on. So glad you're here with us. I mean, I know you can have the opportunity to watch the best in the world on Bowl TV. I know some of you are probably subscribers, but glad you're here with us. And, hey, you know, we're doing some things that others haven't been able to do so far in live streaming. We're bringing you, 40 lanes of coverage on these rounds when we're a full house here. You know, we're able to bring you pairs every once in a while. Hey, we can even sneak in the security cam look. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it's just something that, I keep working to get, better for you, the bowling fans. I mean, it's a labor of love. These guys that you see out here today on the PBA 50 Tour, all these guys that have bowled, it's a labor of love. The weekend warriors like PJ Haggerty, David O'Sullivan, they come and bowl these things because they love the sport. They know they have that outside chance of taking home that big prize. I mean, in a tournament like this, that's why they show up. But they're here because of the love of the game, and that's a lot of reason why I do these live streaming events, and why I try to negotiate with the PBA and in this case now Bowl TV. If they're not going to stream an event that's a PBA regional, if I get the opportunity to do it, I'm gonna try to do them when they're close to my home. So I'm located right here. This is a home game for me at Bolero Wauwatosa. Bowl League here for 20 plus years, and I think, the weekend warriors should get the representation as well. I mean, there's 4,000 PBA members. How many of those guys actually bowl on tour? 150? You get more at bigger events like the Masters. But the regional guys, I mean, they're the ones that hold the PBA together. PBA wouldn't just be in business if it was just 150 bowlers. While I was going on my little rant there. Kind of hard to talk and watch 36 lanes in play. Giorgio Clanaz just had the front 11 before leaving a 4.710 on his final ball. So as he's had a rough night to this point. Giorgio now sitting at plus 145 through 5, so an 1145 total. So he's not going to get anywhere near the lead, but at least a solid game for Clanaz prior to exiting the building this evening. So once again, thanks everybody for watching tonight. We have one more game to go for you here in the main feed. I'm going to see if I can drag up a possible guest. I'm not sure who's still in the building right now that's not actually bowling or an actual spectator that fans would know, but I will do my best for you. But enjoy a little audio intermission, the finish of Game 5, and your final game of the evening for the PBA LBC National Championships will be coming up next. No main feed tomorrow on Sunday. There's just one 2 o'clock squad. All the lane feeds, pair by pair, will still be on YouTube for you, but my Golden Tones will be getting a day of rest tomorrow. But we'll have some special guests for you on the final weekend, next weekend for sure. right, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping up Game 5, coming in Lane 6. Game 6, pardon me, not Lane 6. Lane 6 is on the other side of the building here. It's where the Peterson's bowling. But we'll get with our projected squad leader, Ryan Burton, coming up shortly. He's at 241 over. And I don't see any of the higher average players, Scotty Thompson, using plastic at any time right now other than for spare balls. Even the lower average players, I see a couple lower end Storm and Motive and Brunswick balls in their hands, but nothing that's straight polyester. Well, here we go. Ryan Burton, he's the lefty looking to get into the lead, but he's going to need perfection to do it. Pretty close. 15:30 put up earlier today. By Trey Hanchmeyer. And Burton starts with a strike on his opening shot. So we'll stay here on this feed. We'll try to take a peek around, see if anybody else has any big scores going. And we'll take a look in on them as well. Once again, thanks everyone for watching this evening on both YouTube and on the PBA LBC Facebook page. Anybody's got any questions for good old $2 Phil? I don't know what I can answer. I can answer a few things. I mean, I've seen a lot of tour stuff over the years. Everybody might be familiar with the time I had with Extra Frame back in 2014 to 2018, and then Flow Bowling for a couple of years thereafter. And now doing my own thing with 10 on the Deck Productions. Done a lot of stuff with the PBA, a lot of stuff with some independent tournaments as well. If you haven't already liked the $2 Phil 10 on the Deck Facebook page, what are you waiting for? And if you go to YouTube, you can see some of the old TV shows we used to do on Time Warner Cable Sports and Spectrum Sports. We started in 2007 all the way through 2019. You can see some of those shows from I think we started in 2012. I showed a clip last week when A.J. Johnson was in the booth of him winning the Sean Yona Memorial when we covered those finals on TV in 2012. We've had several players that have made their mark in the sport of bowling appear in our TV shows when they were younger. A lot of our shows, about half our shows every year were for high school or college players. The other half, obviously, were adult tournaments. But a lot of the youth tournaments, singles and doubles tournaments, we have players like A.J. Johnson, Ryan Zagar, Nick Kreml, who's still leading 3 events at the USBC Championships in Reno. John Shallow, who you saw in here tonight. John made one of our first TV shows back in 2007. Not to age John at all. And some great players have gone to become great college coaches. Katie Zwiefelhofer at Carthage College in Kenosha, and Courtney Ermish, who's they're both PWBA players part-time, and Courtney the coach at Carroll University. We've made a mark on those TV shows, and if you want to watch some players before they were famous, you can catch it on the 10 on the Deck YouTube channel as well. Well, we've had a new leader today in the women's classic division. Verity Crowley, 15-22. That was on the 9 a.m. squad, local time. Then we had a new leader in the senior classic division on the 2 p.m. squad with Lenny Bors Jr. 15:02. And on that same squad, Trey Henschmeyer, young man out of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, 17 years of age. 15-28 with a 300 the last game to get to that number to be our new Open Classic Division leader. And that lead is now going to be safe as Ryan Burton, he needed the game of the 280s to surpass. 288 would have been enough, but now 279 is max. He's still got something to shoot for, though. Top 3 in that Open Classic division earn berths into the LBC National Championship Finals on FS1. You'll see that October 1st. That's a trip to Bayside Bowl in Portland, Maine. I've seen a couple Bayside Bowl hats on inside the building here tonight. Always cool to see. And that's probably going to end the run. For Burton towards that top 3. As Derek Kindig was currently second at 15:07. Sebo Carlton Chambers 14:83 in third. So he can still get the third, but it's going to take going pretty much yard for Burton to get there. He's going to need to strike through at least, he needs to either spare and strike out, and he'd tie Sebo. He'd end up with 242. Yeah, so that would be a tie, because then they'd both be at plus 283 altogether, 1483 total. But the one thing Burton can't afford is an open on this shot, or anything other than strikes up to the fill ball. And, well, he's still got room, wrap 10 or wrap 7. gets the conversion, but as we mentioned, for Burton to have any chance to get into the shootout in Portland, it's nothing but strikes from here on out for the young man. Waiting for Burton to step back up. Trying to see if there's any other big scores going on around the lanes in play here at Bolero Wauwatosa. And nobody really within striking distance of the top three. Giorgio Clanaz, he was making a late run. He had 297 last game. And he's looking to shoot 290 in game 6, trying to salvage a nice set. Clanaz can only get himself into the 1430 range, however, for his total pinfall. It'll be a nice check once the tournament's done. But any chance of visiting Portland on the PBA dime, not going to happen for Clanaz. So once again, no main feed tomorrow. You can still, however, watch all pairs in play starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central here from Bolero Wauwatosa, as another squad of this PBA League Bowler Certification National Championships takes to the lanes. That'll be our only squad tomorrow. And as I said, if you're still looking to get in, next weekend is it. You've got the 15th and the 16th. You've got two squads on the 15th. 9 a.m., 2 p.m., no 7 p.m. squad next week unless you're going to bring 80 people. If you bring 80 people, I guarantee I will work that entire squad, well, maybe not by myself, but I guarantee you Tom Clark will greet you personally if you bring 80 people to Bolero with advance notice. Tabola squad next Saturday night at 7 o'clock. I'd be more than happy to shake your hand myself if that happened. But 9 and 2 next week, 2 p.m. Sunday. The 16th is the last squad of this event. Prior to the PBA pros taking in the lanes, that top 50 squad. Monday night, July 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. here at Bolero Wauwatosa. And it's the same format for those pros. They're going to be bowling their 6-game totals. Their first 3 games will count for double scores with any of the players that may have signed up to bowl doubles with them before that squad. And the second 3 games, games 4, 5, and 6, will take place for 4-person team entries. And I know a few players that have entered with 3 of those top 50 professionals to try to make a team. Their score and their 3 pro scores for games 4, 5, and 6 will determine the winners in the team category here at the LBC National Championships. So basically, here's the story right now. Ryan Burton needs all 3 in the 10th to tie Carlton Chambers for 3rd place overall. I don't know what they would do for a roll-off. Well, they can't take them both to Portland. Or can they? We'll find out if it happens. Of course, if somebody comes in tomorrow or next weekend and shoots 1484, moot point, or higher. Burton gets the first one. Still needs 2 more to get to that magic 1483 number. He'd be tied for 3rd in the Open Classic division with Sibo. And I'm sure both these players could both say, where's one more pin? I need one more pin. Burton, second shot of the 10th. He steps out of it, doesn't like it, and there we go. You see why. So close to making top 3 for Ryan Burton, but that's not going to happen. So I know there's a few more streams running, a few more pairs that are going to be getting done, but we are going to end the main feed. All your other pair feeds are available through the links down in your description of your video once these games on 53 through 56 are complete. Great run for Ryan Burton. That'll be a nice check at the end of the event. So thanks everybody for joining us on the main feed tonight. Once again, no main feed tomorrow, and we'll get you back on the main feed next Saturday. 2 p.m. squad for sure, but check the PBA LBC Facebook page, PBA League Bowler Certification Facebook page for all your updates, including interviews with today's new division leaders and other highlights of the PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 Phil Bridle. Parents, take the kids bowling because you know they're going to have fun for life. And we'll see you back here tomorrow on all the pair feeds, and you'll see me back here in the main feed next Saturday.